can feel the adrenaline right now.
We did set it up as if it was like you're entering a club in a way. So you've got a bouncer. We wanted it to feel like you're going to a club. So there was a DJ, there was music when you went in. So there wasn't anywhere to sit. There was never anywhere to sit. And you were frisked. And there was this feelie box. There was a bar that we'd set up. There was a flapjack stall. There was a table of curiosity.
I think it was quite chaotic, quite full-on and confrontational for the audience. We believe very strongly that one of the ways in which we would commit to the work is to put our own bodies on the line, and that would be a way, by having promenade performance where the audience is as close to you as you and I are right now, and then I'm doing something where my body is at risk or being pushed to the limit. That's a key sort of contract. There was a bit in the performance where he and I ran straight towards each other, and the move is we smack into each other and knock each other over. And it's, we were deliberately sort of using those sort of strategies because we felt like we want to have people transfixed by the sense of risk that's being taken. We were doing sort of video grabs of the audience's faces and slicing them up in a computer to create sort of video photo fits. There was a section where Will was sort of washed naked as a corpse. So sort of rituals of how we care for bodies and how we deal with people who we've lost was a really important part of it. Lucia Garling did it, someone who's appealing for help for a missing child on TV, and so she's looking into the camera and she's giving this really tearful and very moving appeal, but it's lit in such a way that you're aware of it as a construction for television, sort of thinking about ways in which the media constructs our responses to killing.
We literally went the whole way down the space and cleared the space of the people.
Pushing the audience out the way as we go, and essentially anything that the audience have dropped, like a cigarette butt or a piece of rubbish, we're circling that with chalk.
Then we'd flip the frames over and the whole thing would move a metre at a time.
So it's sort of both a recreation of how the police might do a search across a piece of land for evidence, but also a sort of record of the performance space itself, a capturing of everyone's presence in the room.
So it would jump from one piece to the next piece. One of the sort of highlights for me in one of the things that happened was we used a paintball gun, and there was a whole scene where we essentially stopped the show.
So we asked, is there anyone who's never fired a gun before? People put their hands up. And then we said, keep your hands up if you want to fire a gun. And that would thin out the audience to maybe 20, 30, 40 people who still have their hands up. And then I would say, what's going to happen now is I'm going to give you a gun and you're going to shoot it at these two performers. And Ju and Bruce stripped down to their underwear and walked backwards and forwards like ducks at a fairground show. And we then picked one person. This is a paintball gun. If you fire this and hit these two people, you're going to cause a bruise about this big. Would you like to go ahead and fire the gun? And if you don't want to fire the gun, that's totally fine. We will just move on from this part of the show. It's up to you. And every night, that person would say, no, I do want to fire the gun. And I would then say, right, you've got 3 shots, and then we'll move on. And so then complete icy stillness would go through the whole crowd, because suddenly there was a sense that a line was about to be crossed between performativity and something happening for real. And even among all of us, we're really nervous. We know that it can really hurt. A headshot from that range is dangerous. Sometimes they would fire and miss, sometimes they would hit. But I remember one night, straight after that, a huge argument broke out in the crowd, where someone in the crowd said to the person who'd fired, you shouldn't have done that. And that person pushed back, and there was like a row going on that we weren't really aware because we're trying to get on with the show, but it's like we could hear like a big argument going on among the crowd. And I think that was a key part of the work for us, because what we wanted to do was create a situation where people were witnesses to an event, not spectators of a show.